Britain's former Prince Andrew has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he was taken into custody in Norfolk just a short while ago. He is accused of allegedly sharing confidential information with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Mountbatten Windsor has previously denied any wrongdoing over his ties to Epstein. King Charles had stripped his brother of his titles back in October and has since evicted him from Windsor. Let's get back down to CNN's Salma Abdulaziz, who joins us live in London. Salma, what's the latest that you're hearing?
I want to start by asking maybe questions of what we don't know and what we do know so far. So we do know that he's been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, but there's a lot of details that are still missing here, of course, Rahel. We don't know the specifics of the allegations of this investigation by the police. We're talking about a period of time between 2001 to 2011 when he was representing the UK as a trade envoy. But what are the specific allegations, the specific accusations of misconduct? We don't yet know that. What information actually prompted Thames Valley Police to make this arrest? That's the key question here, because we understand that they have been assessing this claim for some time now, I would say a period of days. That latest trove of emails where we see these allegations come to light has been out for a few weeks now. So what was the trigger? What was the switch? What was it that the police held on to that said, okay, now is the time when we need to take this very extraordinary action, of course, in this country? We also don't know where Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is currently being held. We don't know where he is being held. We simply know that he's been arrested, but we don't know any details beyond that or what the status of that is in terms of his arrest. And we still don't know if he's been interviewed under caution. That's what it's described as in this country. So essentially, has he been asked questions? Has he sat down with a police officer and been asked questions as of yet? And where has he been asked these questions? What location has he been taken to? What do we actually know right now? Well, what we do know is Mr. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, former Prince Andrew, who only earlier this month was forced out of the royal residence, pushed into his brother's residence, the Sandringham estate, which is currently being searched by police, has now faced a watershed moment, really, not just for himself, but for the royal family and really for this country at large, being arrested. Now, again, being arrested does not mean being guilty. We do not know the specifics here of why the police have taken this extraordinary action of arrest. That is the detail we need. But you can imagine that the royal family is reeling. King Charles has been trying to get ahead of this time and time again. Last year, he stripped his brother of all his royal titles. I said he's pushed him out of the royal residence. He even took this really extraordinary step of preempting the possibility of this happening right now by saying he was willing to support the police in any inquiry that they had. So there's going to be a sense in this country, first of all, that this has caught up with Prince Andrew. He has been long under question, long under suspicion for his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, a relationship that he appears to have lied about in the past, saying that he ended his relationship with Mr. Epstein once he was a convicted sex offender, so around 2008. Now, in these latest email troves, that does not appear to be the case. And it is now clear that he did continue that relationship after Epstein was convicted. And it is that information that led King Charles to strip him of his royal titles, to take these extraordinary steps to try to get ahead of what's happening here. But again, it has caught up with them. There is going to be also a bit of empathy, I imagine, in this country for his family, the York family as they are known here. He has two young daughters. They're in their 30s. They have their own families. Their faces have been splashed all over the media for the last few days. So many questions here swirling around what is, first of all, a family that represents this country, the monarchy as an institution, and how Mr. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor represented it as a trade envoy. And I did write down some details of the emails that could be in question here. Around 2010, he appears to have forwarded government report visits, details of those visits in Vietnam, Singapore, China. There are emails that indicate that Mountbatten Windsor forwarded investment opportunities for gold and uranium in Afghanistan. He had a duty of confidentiality between 2001 and 2011 as trade envoy. Did he abuse the public office? Did he violate government information? Did he violate the Pact for Confidentiality? That is the question the police are asking right now. The details around that, we have yet to know.
So this is the kind of story where it generates a flurry of text links, people trying to put together what they know now. Can you remind us the state of play here in the U.S.? Right now, it's the House Oversight Committee, right? Like who is investigating what at this point?
Well, that's a question that we don't actually know the full answer to. The House Oversight Committee is pursuing some depositions with the former Victoria's Secret owner, Wexner, did a deposition yesterday, but also there's this whole the question
And he's
of
a major donor,
yes,
which is why people are focused on him.
And the question of whether Bill and Hillary Clinton, what their testimony will look like, that's been going back and forth, but is expected in the coming weeks. But I think that the thing that is notable here is that so far the fallout from the Epstein files, which by the way have still not been fully released despite the law that said that they needed to be, the fallout has been not in America, not in American politics in ways that people have really been feeling the kinds of results that have been happening in Europe,
yeah.
Or people even stepping away from business dealings in the United States. There are a lot of political figures who keep coming up in these documents.
Yeah.
Documents are not necessarily things that implicate guilty behavior, but we have from the Justice Department from the beginning this statement that there was nothing to follow up on in terms of criminal investigation. We just don't, that statement coming at the front of the release when we see that other things have been followed up on.
I want to add one more thing to that because Prince Andrew in the past has denied the allegations of sexual abuse from people like the late Virginia Giuffre. I just want to read something just because the paper happens to be in front of me. New York Times, they're talking about the Commerce Secretary Lutnick, and they mention that it says he's not the only prominent Trump administration official to appear. The records show that RFK Jr., obviously of DHS, once went hunting for dinosaur fossils with Mr. Epstein. An email file shows that Dr. Mehmet Oz, who's at CMMS, invited Mr. Epstein to a 2016 Valentine's Day party. None of these things are criminal, but they're also part of this dialogue that says the elites, there's an elite out there, they're all buddies, they all hang out with each other, and they accrue the benefits of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, in 2016, he was a convicted pedophile. Why are you hanging out with this man in general? And I just am hard-pressed to find that people didn't know that of his behavior. And then they also lied about it, and they lied to the American people. Lutnick actually lied to people and said, I had nothing to do with it. And then he's like, oh, wait, I did have lunch on the island. It's like, who do you believe anymore at this point? And I think, to your point, the American people, I think, are so interested in this because of the power dynamic, because they see that they'll never be able to get ahead. They're not in these elite circles. They're not in this weird class of people that do things and aren't held accountable and get to play by different rules.
But I also think another thing that sticks out to me when you read through the different revelations that have been coming out of these files is that I think a lot of Americans think like, oh, there's Republicans and there's Democrats, but actually among the elite, they're not really as different as you think. And these are files that include everyone from Naomi Campbell to Steve Bannon going and allegedly hanging out on this island. And so it's like, wait a minute, this elite is like, it's different than like right versus left.
That's where it plugs into the bigger political thing going on here. There's this phrase, you guys have both used the word class to talk about it. Ro Khanna, the congressman from California who wrote the bill that was the Epstein file, he has this phrase, the Epstein class, which has now gotten some pickup.
Oh yeah, or the Epstein administration, I've heard him say.
Yeah, but the Epstein class, I think, does get into the, like, people have a feeling that there are some who are getting ahead, who are getting wealthy, while a lot of Americans are struggling and are not able to break through. They see this going on, and what's in these files, at the very least, does seem to confirm that for a lot of people, that there's this rich network of people. They go hunt for dinosaur fossils together. They hang out on an island. And then you add in all of the illicit behavior. All this, it's stuff that is remote from anything that most people are dealing with, and makes this the economic, the stratification going on in American society feel much more real.
Yeah, it puts a literal face on it.